First thing that you guys do very well, I don't know if this is something that you've always done or something that sort of evolved with working with us, but that's qualification process in the discovery phase of the sales process is so important because typically, like when business owners often see the metric for success, the site visit, because it kind of does look like they're doing good work and it's valuable, but the reality is it's not about the site visit, it's about how many of them you can close. And what most businesses don't understand is that entire concept and that entire framework happens in discovery. James, welcome to the Site Shed podcast.
Morning, Matt. How you going?
Are we popping your podcasting cherry here?
You sure are.
Really?
Yeah, exciting.
That's awesome. Mate, great to have you on the show. I asked you on the show after a internal discussion within the team. We're talking about clients that are doing really well with various aspects of their business, and your name was top of the queue there for a number of reasons, which I want to jump into. But yeah, thank you for your time. I know you're a busy man building an empire.
Slowly getting there. That's it.
Before we jump in, can you just give us a bit of a background as to who you are and what you do, where you do it?
So I'm James from Silver Peak Construction. We specialise in wet area renovations, so bathrooms, laundries, toilets and all that sort of stuff. We do full house renovations and give pretty much back people their independency through NDIS and aged care modifications, in pretty much the western suburbs of Melbourne and rural areas all the way to Ballarat.
Awesome. Did you start there?
Yeah. Always been situated in Bacchus Marsh. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And were you guys always bathrooms?
We used to do commercial work, but worked on the roads for a few years, but got sick of doing stuff 9 times after 50 million other crews. So I got a bit sick of that. So I went into something that was a bit more personal and more connection with the customers.
So we've been working with you guys for probably 18 months or something along those lines.
Yep.
And I've noticed a lot of really significant changes and successes that you've made, whether they're obvious or not to you in the spaces, mostly of how well you guys adopt new ideas, new tools, concepts, and then on the other side of the equation, just the way that you guys, the way that you run the business, the way that you price so well, the way that you, have a very clear focus on who we're going to do work for and who we're not. And the reason I bring this up for a lot of like the guys out there, and we deal with this all the time, like guys that are just so willing to just win a job for the sake of keeping the guys busy.
Yeah.
And
not worth it.
And we see it all the time, like pricing bathrooms for 20 grand and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I think like of all the people that we work with, I think you guys have such a really great, first of all, you've got a very strong presence, and you're like, I feel like you guys are really seen as the go-to experts within that area. And truthfully, you were doing that, well before we came into the equation. But I think that really helps businesses price the way they need to when they've got that professionalism and they're seen as the experts and the trusted advisors. Do you guys come up against a lot of, like when you're quoting bathrooms and things like that, I'm guessing there's a lot of quotes that you come against which are significantly cheaper?
Oh, 100% there is. The other day, there was a $20,000 difference between us and another client. So just between our contractor. But it all comes down to, for us, it's the transparency and the education with the customer. We did a walkthrough yesterday with a lovely lady, about 6 houses down. She's had 7 people at the house, and not one of them could visualize the space and actually create that image in the client's face. So the client still couldn't figure out what they were going to do, whether it was going to work. but a simple 30-minute walkthrough, and the customer's already sold on the idea of what's going in there, the feature wall tiles and all that. So we kind of approach it very differently. We educate the customers while we're there, and we plan out the spaces too while we go through. But this is obviously, it's very important for us to qualify the customers. The reason why I reckon we stand out is probably because we separate ourselves. We focus on keeping up to date with the trends. That's why you guys are around for us. But it's also a continual improvement for us in the business.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I know for context, like a lot of the competition are sort of in that cadence of lead comes in, big focus on getting out to site to measure up and give a quote or whatever, disappearing, taking 3 weeks to send a quote out, and then hoping, with a Hail Mary that quote gets accepted. What does your process look like?
So we qualify every lead that comes through. We only meet with our customers that hit the $30,000 budget up.
Yeah.
And our quotes are generally turned around within 48 hours. So from that, we arrange a follow-up call to speak to the customer, and we call them generally within 24 hours after they've got the quote, and we walk them through it again over the phone. And then if we need to, we then do on-site visits, and we'll walk through the quote further to get them to sign to get the job approved. So
I think the biggest problem that we see is was twofold. First thing that you guys do very well, and I don't know if this is something that you've always done or something that sort of evolved with working with us, but that's that qualification process in the discovery phase of the sales process is so important, because typically, like when business owners often see the metric for success, the site visit, because it kind of does look like they're doing good work and it's valuable, but the reality is it's not about the site visit, it's about how many of them you can close.
Correct.
And what most businesses don't understand is that entire concept and that entire framework happens in discovery.
Yeah.
And, and so when we lay this out for our clients, like we say to them, discovery should be so good that when you get out on site, that you're going to have no price objections. Yeah. It's going to be literally a walkthrough where you can finalize their quote and their price, and you can lock them into a schedule for a fee.
Yeah.
And 50% of the time that should become a reality at least.
Yeah, 100%. We find a lot of contractors don't actually do the discovery call at all, to be frank.
They don't.
Their version of discovery call is calling you to book an on-site quote without asking any questions. So
that's right.
Rebecca, who's in the office, will communicate with other bathroom companies around town, and we keep track on who's local and who's in our area now. And a lot of those, either they won't rock up for a quote, or they'll go, oh, we're doing a discovery call. Yeah, what's your name? What's your email? What's your address? When are you home?
Yeah.
Okay, what about budget? What I want, where I'm at? None of it. And it's like, and then they'll rock up and it's like, so we can start Monday or we can start Tuesday. Well, okay, that's great, but we still haven't even got to a budget, and you should have done that in the discovery call. That's the whole point of a discovery call, is to make sure the client's suitable for you. I like to know whether the customer's got what type of animals. It's a weird one, but generally, most of our clients don't own cats. So we're not much of a cat fanatic person. So if they've got dogs, it's easier for us to win and bond with. That's one of the things I focus on. It's not just,
really?
You got 30, yeah, really. Not just you got 30K up to suit the budgets that we cost. It's also, you got cats? Probably not. You got dogs? Heaps easier. Yeah.
Whoa. Hang on a fucking minute. What are you talking about? So are you saying that your customer avatar is typically someone that A, has the budget, and B, has a dog?
Yep, that's it.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is interesting because
it's different.
When businesses start out, in most cases, or pretty much in every case, you don't really have the luxury of being that picky.
Yeah.
But as your business evolves, and I tell this to people all the time, I've said it on the podcast 1,000 times, like you will inevitably find yourself heading off in various directions, which enable you to
choose.
Yeah, well, exactly. You're being more picky, right? Yeah. And so, okay, well, no, we don't want to work with you because you've got a cat. Like, and I've got to be honest, I've never heard that one, but that's pretty hilarious. So what do you think it is about cat people versus dog people?
It's more a bonding. So when you come to a client's house, if the dog likes you, you've already got to step up with the customer. Okay, it's a bit hard. Cats don't like anyone, right? So if you've got a dog, we rock up to a property, the dog's happy as Larry, you're already a footstep in, because a lot of clients refer to their animals for as a guidance. So they'll go, oh, the dog likes this person, or the dog really doesn't like this person. I don't want to use them. So it's a good step for us to use to get in. Not only that, is a lot of customers greet you with their animals at the door.
Sure. The guard chihuahua.
Yeah, little chihuahua yapping at you, but it brings their levels down as well. So if the animal trusts you, the client's going to trust you. The dog doesn't trust you, it's a different story. But you can't, with cat owners, love them, but you can't get that reading and you can't get that connection with a customer as you come to a door. The cat doesn't care, let's be honest. But dog owners and dogs are quite in your face. They're very honest and they're very upfronting, and they trust their pet. So it's a lot easier to bond with that customer. For me, personally, selling to a customer makes it very easy for us.
So does that mean in the discovery phase, you're asking them, do you have any pets?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And if they say, we have a dog, you say, great, when can we come out? If they say, do you have a cat? You say,
not quite like that.
What if they have a dog and a cat?
We get to it. But yeah, we do use
guinea pigs and rabbits.
We use it as a stepping stone. Geese and turkey, that's next year. And we use it as a stepping stone. It's a bonding bridge for us to get to the customer, because to sell the job, you need a connection with the customer that's personal. So yeah, they want a bathroom done. Yeah, they want a toilet done. But what's a connection that we can use to grow on? They've got a dog. That's quite easy to connect to, the breed, the type, and all that sort of stuff. It's a really easy conversation to have with a client, and it brings down their walls. So that's why we do it. A cat, not a cat fan, mate, but it's just going to cause me disasters. So no thanks.
So 15 odd years ago, I remember sitting in a training with an American-based business training, plumbing business coach or whatever, and they were talking about how the level of detail they go to in collecting customer information. And the dog question or the pet question is a thing, to the point where they would have the dog's CRM name in the CRM. And when they go back for scheduled maintenance or whatever it might be, if it's a dog, they'd stop off at the butcher and grab a bone. And they'd do all these little things, right? And pretty powerful. Like I suppose at the end of the day, that's more related to to data. But yeah, that's super interesting what you're saying there about that. I didn't know that. I don't know if the team knows that one.
No, they don't.
You're going to upset Tyler on that one. He's a massive cat man.
Don't worry. We've done similar. We've done special trips to get pine cones for a certain customer's dog, just because it loves pine cones. It makes a big difference, and these customers have ended up investing $400K into us. So it does make a big connection with that.
How do you guys? Okay, so identifying that would you agree that the discovery phase is the most important part 100%. In the sales process?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for all of you guys out there that are my clients that are listening to this, now it's not coming from me for once. There you go. So just take note. But anyway, the other question that, well, I mean, we just see it all the time, and this is why we even we'll put people in the businesses now to do discovery.
Yeah.
Because we just know we'll do it better.
Yeah.
And we'll know when they get out on site, they've got a really shit hot chance of closing that job.
And they're screened better, yeah.
But then the next part of the equation is always the conversation on site. And you guys do all that yourself, so that would be a bit of an internal dialogue. But when we're doing discovery for clients, we've got to make sure that when we get out on site, they're following what's being said in discovery to make sure that they're ticking all the boxes, because they still sometimes have that mindset of, I'm here, measure up, quote, in 3, 4, 5 days, disappear, and hope for the best. So, I mean, this is what we've learned over the years, is that in this modern world that we live in, with technology at our fingertips, people are less and less patient, and they have less and less time. And that old model is such a time suck. Like the whole process, if we zoom out and go back 15 years, like that process worked back then. That's what people expected. Mm-hmm. And most businesses are taking that mindset into 2025, and it so much of it is unnecessary, and so much of it is a huge time waste. So, okay, we're going to give us your name as your address. I'll come out and measure up. Massive time waste. What if they have no budget? Yeah. You get out there, you waste their time and you waste your own time. What's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Like that's the first part. And then the next part, okay, we'll get you let us disappear and we'll get you a quote. Okay, great. So now I've got to wait again. How long am I going to wait for a quote? Like, so, the speed to be able to quote is a super important thing as well, because people like we had, solar guys come out here, for example, and one guy was like, oh yeah, well, let me go away and I'll prepare a quote. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you've got how many panels to put on the roof? There's a bit of battery's got to go. Like, what do you want to know? Like, just give us a quote. And then the next guy came out and did that. And we just right there and then, boom, signed up and booked the job in. I was like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't think people really comprehend that other people are busy.
No, they're not. And it's simplifying the process, the quoting process. So like bathrooms, they're obviously easy to streamline.
Right.
But solar, easy to streamline for a quoting process. Like you can do that while on site. Blinds, curtains, you can do while on site. Full house renovations and that, probably not something you can spice up while on site.
Roofing, easy.
Yeah, it's all about the complexity of it. And the simpler it is, the quicker it is.
Well, the variables, right? There's a lot more variables within a renovation. That said, like having enough data in Discovery to be able to give an estimate, very important. And then what we're seeing working very well is on the site visit, having the ability at some level to take a payment. So some of our bathroom clients will do like a 3D design session or a scope or whatever it might be. Might only be a few $100, but like this is the first part of our process. We always do this with every single job. We do a 3D design session or we do a vision session or whatever they call it. And then we take that, and then that cost comes off your very first deposit if you decide to go ahead, whatever it is. But the point is take the deposit and then book the job into the calendar. But you're not going to do that without a payment. No. And that doesn't have to be a deposit. That doesn't have to be a 15% deposit on the job. You don't even know what the price is fully at that point. But you need to do the design session to ascertain the price. So there's ways that you can go about it which are a lot different and better than what people are currently doing, just stuck in that old mindset. And we see it all the time.
100% there is.
How have you guys have had some pretty crazy growth in the last, 12 months?
We have had a bit. We've had some fun times too. Good old social media, but yeah. Growth-wise, we've gone up in teams and staff. We've doubled, which is fantastic. So there's now 8 of us instead of 4.
So, and from the beginning, the conversation was always that with you. It was like, well, we want to get another team on the road.
Yeah, correct. We always wanted 4 teams, and we're there now. Which is fantastic. And we now have a site supervisor managing all the jobs as well, which frees me up.
How have you managed that growth?
How have you
found team?
So the right people in the right spots. The site supervisor freeing my time up because that would have been a nightmare trying to do sales and manage all the sites. Yeah. But also setting the guys up, obviously, you're doing the same job. So the bathrooms are slightly different, but creating the procedures and the policies around how to do that job from start to finish and just working on that and fine-tuning it into the fact that it's a 92-page book now for a bathroom renovation. But it's got everything in there. But the guys can go into any room, start it, finish it. They know where to do all the changes. So a lot of refining and tweaking with that, with the staff.
So that's like an operating system?
Yeah.
Like a series of checklists, SOPs, how to do the thing.
How to caulk, how to do a vanity layout, how to do a layout in the room, how to demo, how to make sure it's all dust free, how to block all the pipes up, pretty much everything. So all the way from cladding the walls down to your demo, taking some tiles off the floor, what tools we need on what sections, what section we need to walk through with the customers, what section we need to then worry about for waterproofing, tilers and plumbing and all that, all the way to the end. just to streamline it, just so we do finish in 3 to 4 weeks.
And is that a physical book? Is it digital? Is it a combination?
It's physical, digital, and we've got it on our private YouTube. Yeah.
So do they have to, like, is there a checklist where they go through and they go, right, I've done this, I've done this.
Yeah, we use an online platform for all that Build a Trend to manage and show, which we use checklist. This is just a guide. So we've got a new staff member at the moment. They're getting onboarded, but they've also got this to refer to while they're going through the process. So it just makes it even easier. You're not trying to stand there with them the whole time and teach them. They can also read it and see it, and they can watch the videos for it as well.
You guys are in a relatively remote area on the western. Is it Bacchus Marsh? So I mean, not remote, but it's
40 minutes from Melbourne. It's not that bad.
Oh yeah, okay, but it's not like CBD, right? So
no.
So the question I have anyway, did I just strike a nerve there? Sorry.
I was like, geez, not that rural. We're not in Ballarat.
You ain't remote. The question I had was, in the interest of finding team, has that been an issue for you, or do you find that that's quite an easy...
It's actually been better for us, to be honest. So our team come from different areas, which makes us develop a team over in that area. So we've got certain members in Tarneit, Werribee area. We've got people over in Ballarat. So it's actually enabled us to cover a bigger area for our work. And we also know that we've got someone local to those areas. So it's actually worked out for us. It was slightly tricky at the start, but then we've managed to spin it to actually suit our needs.
Sure. So. Yeah. And that, I'm guessing, would only really be viable based on the fact that you have those processes in place that people can follow, and it's not dependent on an individual being there to look over their shoulder.
Makes a big difference, yeah.
So you had mentioned you had a site supervisor. Is his job essentially just to bounce around between the jobs and just refer back to the checklist and make sure things are getting done accordingly?
Yeah, so he does all the walkthroughs with the customers.
Yep.
And then he goes through with the guys on the site pretty much from start to finish and checks all the stages. Pretty much like you're building a brand new house. Same thing, just more visits for a bathroom. So it just means no details are left unchecked.
In developing that checklist, how did it start and how does it evolve?
So the site supervisor came because I needed time for quoting. The checklist came off pretty much our operations and our procedures, so what we needed to do for those stages. And then our site visits came to key dates, and then it was tweaked, and it still is. It's adjusted each job until we can get it slightly improved. But it's just a matter of what stages are important on the job. So your demolition, you don't want to wreck the wrong room. You don't want to spend more money at the client's house because someone's gone to 2.4 rather than 1.2. So that set out's important. And then it's the prep stage and the mark out. So making sure all the accessories and the timber's actually in the wall. There's nothing worse than building a new house and you got to pull off your toilet roll holder because it's screwed with plaster.
Right.
That's so common. That's in so many jobs. You see the accessories just fall off the wall because there's no noggins. So then a walkthrough and that and a checklist for that. Then it goes to the plumbing and electrical, making sure that's right. So it's developed for the key stages that affect the end result.
Sure. And like you say, so I guess the next question is, what's the process for evolving that checklist? Because it's a living, breathing thing, like it's never done. So is it kind of a case by case on each job? Okay, well, this is something we need to add into this checklist.
It purely depends. On every job we do an evaluation. So that's 65 evaluations a year on a bathroom. It's a bit full on, but we look at the issues. So one of the issues we had last year was wall straightening. The walls were straight when the chippies were doing the work, but the walls weren't straight after the plasterers finished.
Right.
So the plasterers weren't putting the sheets on the walls correctly. So not only were we doing a check before the walls went on, we now have to do a check after the walls are done. And we have to refine that. But we only noticed it once we started seeing a few jobs go along. It's like the walls are straight, now they're not. So then we added that extra step in to go check once the plasterers are finished. Now we have to check the work. every time to avoid that, because the last thing you need is bowed tiles.
Right.
Look.
Yeah, sure. Good for shower screens with the gap.
Yeah,
and the
perfect custom cut shower screens. Love them. They cost enough as is.
Classic. So what would you say, over the course of the last couple of years has been some of the more significant lessons you've learned?
Biggest one is screening the customers correctly. We haven't had, touch wood, bad customer for 24 months. So that came down from our discovery calls.
Yes.
And screening our customers. The second one was pretty much managing the sites correctly and making sure everything was there. We don't start a job if nothing's on site. So it's important for us to finish the job within 3 to 4 weeks. If there's no tiles and there's no fixtures, don't start it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. It's like you strip the room and then you're sitting there waiting with your hands in the air going, what do I do now? The customer gets frustrated, you get frustrated, everyone else, you affect all the trades. It's not worth it.
Sure.
So we don't start unless everything's on site. That's another thing. Okay. And then it's just pretty much making sure we have the right people on the right jobs. We've got different tilers, different plumbers. Certain ones can do real finicky tiles. Like the other day, we're doing an Edwardian style. So like individual tiles, 10 mil by 10. I'll flick you a photo later. The other tiler can't do it.
Right.
So making sure the right people align on those jobs for the skill set.
10 mil by 10 mil?
Yeah, tiny. Yeah.
Like not in a sheet?
Nah, individual tiles. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, with a border tile and everything. So there's only one of the guys that could do it. It's costing a fortune, but none of the other guys would be able to do it. So making sure we align that and spoke with our trades to make sure that it's going to flow on. Because if you have that issue with the tiling, it's then going to affect the plumber, the finishers, the shower screen. It's going to have a domino effect.
In coordinating those trades, is that done through Buildertrend?
Yeah, so we use Buildertrend. Buildertrend's pretty much a job management platform. So for project managing and quoting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And then how do you guys use Tradie Hub?
Tradie Hub. So Tradie Hub's purely our CRM. So that's for discovery calls with our clients, managing and updating, obviously, the lead opportunities that are accepted, and then also communicating with the clients. So we call our clients through Tradie Hub because, thank God, it records everything. So the customers know, we can listen back and we can improve through that. So we use it for that. We use it for general communication with the clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't understand the difference between like lead management with Tradie Hub and their job management, Buildertrend, Service, Finpro, Aeroflow, whatever it might be. And I normally say to people, look, and as well, this kind of becomes more relevant at the point where businesses start to decide they want to scale using some sort of cold traffic method. So, running ads it's important to have the lead management system in place because you need to take those leads, like you've just mentioned there, through pipelines, and they need to exist within a sales cycle that the entire team can see and move that contact through. And then at the point where that lead turns into a customer or perhaps a sales qualified lead, and that's normally, well, for a lot of guys, that's like a site visit, because then all of a sudden they need to then manage that as a job because they've got to go out to the site. At that point, they would normally then go into the job management tool of whatever's being used. So the job can be managed and all the systems that are built in on the actual delivery side can pick up.
But afterwards, you would add them back into the CRM because then you can cold nurture them once you finish the job as well for more work.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had a conversation yesterday with a plumbing business up in Brisbane, and she said to me, listen, we're in the emergency/reactive space here.
Yeah. Our
customers don't come back to us. Like, we just need new clients all the time. And I just went, I'm going to pump the brakes on that one right there. I'm going to tell you this in your favor. You are 100% wrong about that. And then I gave her the contact of a mate of mine who runs a huge plumbing business in Sydney, one of the biggest in Australia, setting up for a $100 million exit kind of business. And I said, speak to him and get his feedback on it. Don't listen to me. I'm just a stupid former plumber, now marketer. So go speak to him. And he just absolutely served it up to her. The amount of, we see this all the time, the mentality, and this is another reason why lead management is very important, because the non-obvious serendipities of a lead management system are, or one of them is that it can reduce your ad spend by optimizing and maximizing every possible opportunity of that lead to become a customer. And that's not always an obvious thing. So what I mean by that is when leads come in, if you're in the churn and burn mentality, so this is the normal flow for when businesses start working with us at the agency. They'll come in and they'll be like, right, we need as many leads as we can get, because when a lead comes in, we'll send them a text, and if they don't respond, they're a shit lead, and we need more of those. And I'm like, so again, it's a bit of a paradigm shift, because like, they don't know what they don't know. You obviously know this, but like there's many touch points that need to happen in order to progress that contact through the various stages of the sales pipeline. And we see this, like when our sales executives are trying to engage a new lead, especially through cold traffic. And cold traffic, for you guys out there that don't understand, is like if someone's scrolling through, like the coldest lead is probably Facebook.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And it depends on the vertical you're in. So like your business, James, works very well for Facebook, because essentially when people scroll through, they go, oh, look, we can have a bathroom renovated within, the next 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it is. That's a great idea. We do need our bathroom renovated. It's not like an emergency thing, whereas someone's like, shit, my drains are blocked. I've got to call a plumber. Like, they'll typically go to Google for that. But the point is, like when those leads come into the system, there's many touch points that need to happen to move them even to the stage of discovery. And the example I always give people is, listen, if you're sitting on a train, you're commuting to work, whatever it is, and you see an ad and you click on it and you fill in the details, and then you get to work and someone calls you, if you can't answer that because you're at work, you're a nurse, you're a doctor, you're whatever it is, you're in your office, like that doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad lead. It just means that they can't answer the phone right now.
Yeah.
And most businesses give up there.
Yeah, it just depends.
Then they go back to their agency and they go, your leads are shit, mate.
It's all about timing. It's a tricky one. Yeah, lunch breaks, definitely not school run time. You're not going to get a hold of a lot of people. Lunch breaks is probably our best bet. And then generally we try and reach out to our customers after 4, which is a bit painful because we close at 4. But that's generally the best time to get them, is when they finish work, because you can't just assume everyone runs their own business and just pick the phone up and answer it while you're working. But that's what the emails and that are for too. So
yeah,
when you're talking about cold nurturing, you've also got email campaigns for the customers to bring them in. You need those touch points too. So like you said, Facebook, when they see a car or they see a sign, like that's another touch point to keep you fresh in their memory. With the plumbing company you said, so like referrals, emergency plumbing is the best referrals you could get, because you can turn those customers to recommendations as well, keeping them in the loop, fresh in your mind with an email every now and then, showing them what you're currently doing or a new thing you're going down. We use it every now and then to show clients the latest project we're doing. So the other week we did a mini orb job. We had mini orb tin on the bathroom walls. So we sent out an email to our customers showing them something slightly different, because everyone's like, oh, you just do tiles. But we don't just do tiles. We do wacky stuff too with tin and orbs on the walls.
What is it? Sorry, or what? Tin and orbs?
It's just corrugated iron.
Oh.
But it's just the 10 mil, 12 mil stuff. So we ran that in the bathroom walls, over the shower area, the spa bath, the whole lot.
Cool.
So customers think, oh, you just tile. No, well, we don't. We do a lot of other things. So that makes them go, oh, they're open-minded. They can do other things. A lot of bathroom companies are set in 3x6 tiles, white and black. It's boring.
Yeah, that's right. It is boring. And and I think that's the problem as well, where you have a lot of, like even in the discovery phase, certainly the quoting phase, but like apples for apples, when businesses are like, well, this quote was 20 grand and yours is 40.
Yeah.
And they need to understand that, okay, well, let's draw out like the differences between these two, because they're completely different quotes.
Oh, they're never the same. I've never seen it.
And you raise a very good point there. And this is something that we've learned and we're starting to do a lot more of with our clients, is like education through the various stages of the sales process. So for example, when a lead comes in, there is it's pretty cool now, because we're deploying sort of like digital assistants like AI where they can pick up those leads the second they come in. So the speed to lead thing's kind of been addressed, but then there's between the discovery call or between the lead coming in and the book discovery call, like with a person, if it's a person doing it, there's an opportunity there to be sending them content about what's going to be happening in the discovery call. And then between the discovery call and the site visit, there's opportunity there to be educating them about what's going to happen on the site visit. And then between the site visit and the job, there's going to be opportunity there to send them information, videos or whatever about what's going to happen once they get out on site and how our process works and blah, 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 blah. So there's a huge amount of opportunity there which businesses aren't really necessarily capitalizing on based on the fact that they don't have some process integrated into the various stages of the sales cycle to help the not yet customer have a better experience along that journey.
Yeah, nurture.
And the feedback that we get from our clients that do this well is that their clients feel very, very comfortable knowing that they are part of an existing process.
Yeah.
And it's not just some like guy rocking up to a site with a durry and a coffee and pulling out a tape measure.
There's kids in the back of the car.
What's that?
Kids in the back of the car. I'll never get over that one.
What? Oh, really?
We rocked up to a quote, and the lady's like, the last quote that she had was, what was it? Older gentleman, about 45 years old, and he rocked up, and his two kids were sitting in the backseat of the car, screaming, crying, carrying on, while he went inside to get a quote.
Oh my god!
And it's like that's just screams very unprofessional.
Yeah.
I mean, we all get caught off guard every now and then, but that's a reschedule. I wouldn't be doing that with the kids in the car.
No, exactly right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So tell me, what's on the plan for you guys looking forward?
So moving forward, we're looking at we've got a TV ad set up. So hoping to hit the rural TV screens in the next 3 months. So
where will that be targeting?
So pretty much, obviously bathroom renovations, wet areas, but it'll be targeting Bendigo across to like Hume all the way through to Ballarat. Mm-hmm. So Dalesford area and all that. Pretty much Win, which is Channel 9. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a few clients that have done the regional TV commercial things.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and regional radio.
Hopefully it should do well. We'll find out. We're hoping to get another team set up as well. So we've got 4, we want 5. It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're looking at pretty much not just doing that, but kind of stepping into some slightly larger projects. So the bathroom renovations are going really good when they're down tick. We're trying to, at the moment, we're playing around with subbing them all out. So managing but subbing and then taking the team somewhere else. So we're just experimenting at the moment on a few jobs to see how we can play with our margins and our profit by subbing the work out rather than keeping it all infield.
And so we've seen this in the past as well. It normally comes with some, let's call them obstacle or challenges with quality control.
100%.
So the emphasis kind of needs to be put back on site supervising and QC.
Subcontractor agreements, walkthroughs and all that. We're 100% expecting that. That's the joys, but can't make it too easy.
No, that's right. We see it a lot with solar guys because a lot of solar businesses will want to open up in an area and then sub that work out. And the ones that don't have the right QC, it almost always trips them up.
Yeah. Oh, it would, yeah.
Because the other thing is as well, and this is kind of tying into team, I guess, but for no fault of their own, like if you're bringing on a business as a contract to you, they would have a way of doing something which may not be which will definitely not be your way of doing something, especially, from what you're saying with those processes in order. And so it's sometimes harder to untrain someone than to train someone.
Yeah, 100%. Especially the older they are, the harder it is. But the younger teams are a lot easier to deal with because they're more open-minded because they are still learning. So we're not bringing on someone that's like, let's say, middle-aged. They're a younger team, and it'll be easier to guide them in the right direction. How that goes, though, we'll wait and see. It'll make it a bit more interesting for us. The bathrooms are really, really good, but they're repetitive to a sense where the enjoyment you get is the satisfaction of seeing the customer at the end smile. But that's why we do the aged care and the NDIS jobs. It's giving back the independency. So it actually means so much more for us now. Where a bathroom renovation for a client, it's great seeing the end result, it's great seeing the smile, but you now want to give someone more. So if I can give you your independency back through a bathroom transformation because you can't shower anymore on your own, that's so much more rewarding for the team and the company itself.
Sounds a bit philanthropic. Sounds a bit philanthropic.
Yeah.
What about the communication dynamic within the running of a bathroom renovation, and how does that look from you guys? The reason I ask this is because, in my experience, 99% of the problems that exist can be solved through communication.
It's all communication. Everything in the construction industry that's an issue is because of lack of communication. Communication for us is on a day-to-day basis. So
from the point of
builder trends, phone calls, on-site walkthroughs with the customers, it's the same with the trades. It's a day-to-day thing. It's not just an off and on.
What about handover? How does that look?
Handover, that's a fun one. So handover is only done when the job's obviously fully finished. We give a cute little hamper box with Silver Peak on it. Local
what does fully finished look like?
So what's it look like?
Yeah. Shower screens in.
Everything's finished. The whole job's finished. So it's cleaned, washed, no grout haze, nothing on the walls. Customer's ready. They've already signed off on the job being finished.
Got it.
Yeah. So we don't do our final photos till our handover's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there scenarios where, for example, the bathroom's done, but the shower screen might be a week late?
No. That's not a finished job, mate.
Yeah.
No. So the only thing you've got to wait for is generally your framers. All our frameless are custom cut. So that's 7 days. So that's why we take 4 weeks.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like the frameless shower screens, sometimes you can't measure them up till the tiles are in. And
can't measure them till the wall tile's done. Yeah, it's one of those things. But that generally always rocks up right after the plumbing roughing, the fit-off's done.
Okay.
So generally it's within 2 days. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So sorry I interrupted you, but you're saying there's a box.
No, that's all right. So we do for our handover process, obviously, so Ryan will go out or I'll go out, we'll walk through with the customer the job, and then we give them a little thank you box at the end of the job. It's important to us to thank the customer for going ahead with us, but also recognising that they could have gone with someone else if they wanted to. It's part of the value. So we use a little box made from everything we choose locally. It's got gin in it, soaps and all that, all made locally around Bacchus Marsh, Dalesford, the areas we service. And then we give that to the clients to help just show our appreciation for them to use us for the work. It's not just, you've paid us, that's it, see you later. It's you chose to use us. That's special to us. They don't have to. They could use anyone. So,
what about ongoing support, check-ins?
So we check in with the customers after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, etc., and then it goes to about 18 months, and then it steps out to 3 years. So,
and is that a case of going out maybe sometimes
quick phone call?
Up? Okay.
Quick phone call and an email, and every second visit we do an on-site just to walk through, just to see whether how it's maintaining, and 2, whether the clients are looking after it, washing it and cleaning it the way they should be. Some people get carried away with these chemicals. They start using the wrong stuff in the grout. It destroys the grout real quick. So we've got a 10-year warranty on all our work. It's important to make sure it's maintained correctly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because I see a lot of businesses sort of dropping the ball with that as well. That there's a huge opportunity there. Again, the non-obvious part of this conversation, the obvious part of it is like what you've just mentioned there. Okay, we've got to make sure that they're, not degrading the quality and the guarantee and the warranty and those kind of things. But then the less obvious side of that is the rapport and the care dynamic that you're building into that relationship with that customer, which could lead to referrals, repeat work, all these other things which come with customers having a great experience. There's a huge opportunity on the table there.
Yeah. Build your touch and your reach with the customer and their friends. yeah, there's nothing worse than paying 20, 30, 40K for a job and then never hearing from the company again. I wouldn't.
And I think,
I'd want to, if I was paying someone, I'd want to hear from them. That's for sure. It's not just an investment. It's also warranty. Are they still around? Like, it's those sorts of issues. We have customers reach out to us that are selling their houses and they've lost their paperwork. And they're like, oh, you were just here 2 months ago, forgot to ask, selling the house. Do you still have the paperwork? Yeah, we do. So we send it through. But like, they feel comfortable to reach out and ask those sorts of questions. So,
well, I think this is an important thing to unpack, because when we're talking about like a business's unique mechanism and the way that you can help from the beginning, like even in the discovery stage of a conversation, like what's the difference between your company and the competition? And a lot of those conversations, and we see this done very well by guys like you that are quite established, like the way that they can justify charging the right amount. And I say the right amount, not more. Yeah. Like it's, like the right amount is by showcasing professionalism and helping their customers understand that they're not disappearing tomorrow. It's very common in the solar space, where you got like, okay, well, this is the way that we operate. This is our system. Like after 3 months, we come back, we do a check-in, we sit down, have a cup of tea, we tighten screws, we tighten, whatever it might be. Like there's a big opportunity there for people to understand, okay, well, if there is a problem, we know that we're working with a company that's going to be able to come back and fix this, and they're not going to be disappeared and gone, or they're not, driving 3 hours to get here, like that kind of thing.
Or just going to ignore you full stop, which seems to be the next best solution, isn't it, for some companies? It's all about the education. It's not about, most of the customers are going to go ahead anyway, but it's about educating them not to make a bad decision. So not for them to go through the same mistakes another customer's gone through. So we had a customer that chose someone that were cheaper. They took a 50% deposit for a kitchen. They took a 50% deposit for a bathroom. That was $50,000. They came in, they stripped the bathroom, they stripped the kitchen, disappeared.
What?
50K, gone. Yeah. Oh, you can't. So while we're with the customer, we educate them on payment terms. As frustrating as it might be for some people, but 20K below, 10%, 20K up in Victoria, 5%. So educating them on those things while we're doing the walkthrough, so that we're trying to protect them, we're trying to educate them on future issues so that they don't have that situation, because there's nothing more gut-wrenching than going, I didn't choose you because you're more expensive, but now this person's walked away with 50K. Well, now this person's got to find an extra 50K plus the extra money on top of it to get us to come finish their project. And it's hard for us. It's hard for the customers. And we don't want to see everyone making those mistakes that others have made. The point is to learn and educate people. Yeah. We don't want to keep a repeat cycle for our customers and for obviously the community we're in.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, mate, this has been great. Look, I really love watching you guys progress. I think you. One thing I did want to mention, I suppose, before we wrap up is I know you recently did a trip to the Philippines because you went over there to like personally train one of your team members based over there. I know the outcome might not have turned out the best for that individual, but I guess the point of the whole conversation is like the willingness to spend the time and invest in that individual to, make sure that they're fully equipped to do their job the right way. Was that trip in this instance anyway, was that kind of the straw that broke the camel's back and thinking, oh, maybe you're not the right person for this team? Is that what happened, or?
No, that trip actually went really, really well. It was after that trip that our talent, our virtual assistant from the Philippines just went downhill. It was quite strange. We worked really, really well. We got everything done. She was ticking so many boxes, and then all of a sudden she just hit a brick wall. Huh. So, which was very evident, and which was slightly frustrating because it was a lot of training, but we're currently working through it again, training someone up. Virtual assistants are a great thing. Not against it, but I just think there's certain things, and your systems are amazing, and they're one of the examples. So you've got all these videos to teach people how to do it, and that's what we do. But I always feel like the personal touch and an in-person thing just neatens those ends up. And that's what I wanted to do, was to clean up a few little ends just so we could move forward. So we're currently training someone else up at the moment.
And will that inevitably involve you going over there, or will that be more remote?
Yeah, 100%. Both? Just for a week for a training, and then if it goes the way we want, we'll end up with 2 of them. So
okay,
yeah.
So with that dynamic, do you organize is it like a training week or something where you're like, right, I need you guys in house in this location at this time?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very similar to your catch-ups that you do every now and then. So where you get everyone together, train them, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So. Yeah,
great. That's awesome. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said. I mean, truthfully, I don't do anywhere near as good a job of that as you do by the sound of it, but there's definitely something about getting people in person.
Oh, it is. But your videos, and that's the difference. It's not even for just virtual assistants, but also administration. It's filming those tasks and how to do them make it a lot easier to train people. And we only started doing that when we jumped on the virtual assistant bandwagon, which was the same time we signed up to you guys. That's why we had so much going on when we started. But it was like going from that to, why don't we record everything we're doing now? Yeah. That training process, they can see you doing it. So now they can visualize it, and now we can replicate it, and we can create procedures, and we can also refer to the videos. And that's where we got that from. And we've been using you since nearly 12 months. Last year we started. So it would have been the same time we were like, let's turn everything into videos. So for virtual assistants, it's great, but also for your on-site staff and your administration staff, because you don't see them these days. COVID's like you work from home.
Right.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard to be a clawback when you're a bathroom renovation company. It's not like you have the pulling power of Google.
Yeah.
You are going to come back to our $1 billion office that we built.
Eventually, that's it. That's the plan, isn't it?
Mate, awesome to chat. Thank you so much for your time. Again, just kudos to you and all the successes. And I think you do such a fantastic job of keeping on top of the ever-changing roadmap within business. You're very good with process adoption. You're always willing to learn new things and try new things, which is fantastic. And I think, even just off the back of this conversation, there's things there that I think I've learned that I should be doing better.
I wouldn't say that.
So I think you're doing a really, really great job over there. And full credit to you and all the successes and the team and all the wins that you guys all the goals you're picking over there. Cool. Well, okay. Well, that's going to wrap this conversation up. If any of you guys have questions for James, I'm sure I can rubber arm him into answering some of those. Otherwise, mate, that's a wrap. New Zealand-based home renovation company, 6,593% ROAS. Sydney-based solar company, 2,700% ROAS. Hunter region-based bathroom renovation company, 5,616% ROAS. Melbourne-based building company, 13,182% return on ad spend. Adelaide-based solar company, 2,881% return on ad spend. Guys, the list goes on and on. If you're a trade-based business and you work with projects like roofing, solar, bathroom renovations, kitchen renovations, anything like that, head across to tradie.wiki/pod for podcast. Tradie.wiki/pod for podcast. Book in a conversation. It is game changing.